the Story. My name is Janice Hermson, and I'm here with Ed Knoll and Doug Ashby, and we are going to be talking a little bit about integrity today, and right now, specifically, election integrity. So we invited Michael Gindi. He actually reached out on one of the social media platforms and has a project going on, and so I invited him to come on and tell us all about it. Michael, welcome to What's the Story?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you here. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you got this project started, how long you've been working on it. It totally relates to the 2020 election, but when you and I spoke, I kind of said to you, well, whether it is effective in that particular instance and the Republicans benefit from that or not, I think that every American should be concerned about our election integrity. So that's kind of how I let in with you. I'll let you take it away from there.
Well, integrity and honesty, I think, are two concepts that every American has to be concerned about, because whether you vote Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Communist, whatever you decide to vote for, if you're voting in dishonest representatives, what's the point? Because the whole point of a representative is there in your place. Since we can't theoretically, physically have millions of us sitting in the Capitol voting, they vote for us. They represent our interests. But if they're corrupt, if they're dishonest, they're going to be representing their own interests and looking to line their own pockets and neglecting our needs. And generally, when that type of thing happens, I mean, that's really at the death knell of any type of advanced civilization, any great country. And this is something that we need to make sure stops happening, and that we can put stopgaps in place. The reason I don't want to, get off tangent, and I apologize because this is really my first time doing this. But if we go back to the revolution, to breaking away from Britain, what was that all about? That was all about, taxation without representation. The monarchy was not representing us. So we revolted, and there was war and there was bloodshed, and we took our country and we created something that was the first in history, which is a republic for the people, by the people, and of the people. That our needs, not the monarchy, not the leaders, not the elites, not the people sitting in their ivory towers, us, the little guy, our needs were paramount. Our needs were the priority, not secondary. We were not vassals. We were not put here to serve the master, to provide for the rich. The representation in the government was there to serve us, was to serve the entire country. And because of that, because it was a successful project at the onset, we were able to create the most civilized, successful, wealthy, charitable nation that ever existed, with the most freedoms, and those all go hand in hand. Now, for some reason, we're at a point where it looks like that's going away. Our freedoms are getting, whittled away on a daily basis. Censorship is just totally out of hand. The media has become something like when I say media, I don't mean you, of course. I mean the mainstream media, which believes it's their job to tell us what to think. They've become a propaganda tool, and their job seems to be to spin stories, not to report us the facts and give us the news, to spin stories to meet a certain agenda, to promote certain projects, certain ideas that groups of people benefit from. Let's just say, for example, the climate change. I don't want to get into whether there is or there isn't. I have very strong opinions on it. But the cost analysis, right? The pros and cons of climate change are never discussed. When they want to promote the climate change, theory and say, well, radical change needs to be done and we all have to sacrifice. We have to give up our cars. We have to give up our freedom to have my air conditioning running 24/7, my lights, whatever type I want. We have to give up our rights to save the world. Now, great. Yeah, if the World War coming to an end in 12 years, as it's been coming to an end in 12 years for the last 50 years, that would be something to discuss. But they don't discuss that. They don't tell you how many people are going to be losing jobs, how bad your life's going to be affected, how many people are going to actually die worldwide. The news does not discuss that. And what's even worse is they don't allow dissenting ideas. If you have an idea that does not go with the mainstream narrative, you're not allowed to say it. You're on my email list. I sent out I started yesterday the change.org, right, petition,
right.
Regarding the election, to have the election investigated. Within under 24 hours, they took that petition down. I did not mention anything about voter fraud. I just said voting irregularities.
Wow.
They took my petition down within 24 hours on change.org. So that's censorship.
Oh,
Why
absolutely.
won't they allow us to ask people, hey, sign on to a petition, let's check it out, let's see what really happened? Don't you think that for the health of the country, for faith in our leaders, faith in the government, that we should know exactly what happened?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be healthier for everyone to just know, do a full forensic investigation, a full analysis, look at the ballots, remove any question? If Joe Biden won fair and square, hey, he's my president.
Absolutely.
I have to accept it.
Yep.
The problem is right now, I don't know if he won fair and square.
Right.
We don't know. There's so many questions. So let's remove those questions.
Well, and I think that a lot of people said, whether they were Republican or Democrat or whatever, they said there weren't enough irregularities to make a difference. But so what does it hurt to go back and to say, okay, then let's check and let's see if there's other things that we can fix. So let's just say that, no, we don't find enough, but there were a lot. Let's fix those problems. How about that?
Yeah, that's okay. But what about for those of us who trust in someone like a Peter Navarro,
Yeah, absolutely.
a Harvard professor, who did a full breakdown down to the vote, dead voters voting, out of state voters voting. He did a full breakdown, and he came up with over 3 million votes that were quote unquote illegal votes. That if those 3 million votes, not even 3 million of them, if only 300,000, 10% of the 3 million that he found, that would have changed the election. Why can't we even say that? Peter is a very serious person. He's not a crackpot. He's not a conspiracy theorist. Peter Navarro is a very well-respected person, and until he associated himself with a certain president, he was a very respected person. But once you associate yourself with someone, now cancel culture, cancel culture,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not a person anymore.
Right.
Because you have a certain view, you look at the world a certain way, now you're not a human being anymore.
Well, and
you have no right to an opinion.
And those that I've spoken to that feel the way that you do recognize that there are people that don't feel the way they do, and I think that there's more people that are willing to look at the integrity as opposed to being on one side. If am I saying that correctly so that I'm understandable? I feel like I'm all over the map here.
Right. But that's exactly what I started off with. Whether you're a communist,
right,
a Republican, a Democrat, We all should be interested in integrity and honesty.
So, Michael, I posted your email onto my page here. It's the 2020 Election Integrity Project. And when did you? We only have about a minute left, but I want to make sure that anything else you want to share that you can share with us.
Well, basically, I'm going to cram in years worth of analysis and understanding the situation into a minute. We are powerless. We vote a representative into office to represent our interests. They don't. So we have to wait 2 to 4 years, 6 years to get rid of them, and then put somebody else in, maybe, who we also expect to, and then they don't. There needs to be something that returns the power to us. Now, we're not going to have a revolution. We're not going to pick up arms, but we need to be able to hold our leaders accountable for their behavior. We have a court system which is fairly functional. It's not completely dysfunctional. It does work sometimes very well. And the whole method of class action lawsuits have brought huge, powerful corporations, institutions to their knees. Joining together the citizenry with the whole method of class action lawsuits is a great way to have our voices heard, to show our power, to flex our muscles, and to change the future of the country. It's tantamount to having another revolution, but without hurting anyone.
No violence.
The key is that we need to join together. We need to be together, because together we're powerful. Together we can accomplish anything.
And I'm sharing that information. I'm going to send that out to my list of folks again, and I'm going to have you back on again so we can keep updated on this if you're willing to come back.
Sure, it's the same $100,000 for 15 minutes. Is that the
That's
same
it.
payment
That's the one.
time?
You're awesome. All right, we'll be back.